Good morning, and welcome to Bad Bat Hikes. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the lingo that you're going to hear me and other hikers who are filming their thru hikes use along the trail. I hope this is going to be a good resource for my family and friends who aren't familiar with trail lingo and other viewers who are new to the community. Let's jump right into it. So the first word, or initials, that I've already said a lot on my channel is AT. This just stands for the Appalachian Trail. It's a 2,200 mile trail going from Georgia to Maine. Another word that I've already used several times on this channel is thru hiker. A thru hiker is someone who completes a trail from beginning to end within a calendar year. Most people use this term on longer trails such as the AT. To go along with thru hiker, there are a couple of directions in which you can complete your thru hike, and those come with their own phrases as well. I'm personally going no-bow on the Appalachian Trail, meaning northbound. This means that I'm going to start at Springer Mountain in the south and work my way north towards Katahdin. The opposite of that would be referred to as a so-bow. That person would start in the north at Katahdin and work their way south to Springer Mountain. In the middle of those two is what's called a flip-flop. A flip-flop means someone who starts at a particular spot on the trail, doesn't have to be Springer or Katahdin, hikes one direction, flips back over the other way, and completes the trail the other direction. It's a little vague because this can be done in lots of ways, but a popular spot to flip-flop is Harper's Ferry, Virginia, which is the unofficial halfway mark of the AT. The last lingo for thru hikers is what's called a yo-yo. This can often refer to someone who hikes an entire trail, turns around, and hikes the whole thing backwards immediately, hence yo-yo. Now, if you're not thru hiking the entire trail, what would you refer to yourself as? Well, if you're doing a large section of trail, that would be known as a section hiker. Doing an even smaller trip than that, this would be known as a weekend warrior. That's what I would class myself as right now. I can't officially say I'm a thru hiker until I've completed the whole trail. But weekend warriors normally go out for 1 to 2 night trips on the weekends. The last class of a hiker would be a day hiker, meaning that you would go out for the day and come back in, meaning you don't stay the night on trail. Next is the term bubble. I've been using this a little bit on my channel thus far. That just means when a large group of hikers happens to be in the same spot of trail at the same time, hence the bubble. On the AT, the bubble normally starts going no-bow around March to April. So a large group of hikers will be at the same section of trail at the same time. Next is a term called trail name. My trail name is Bad Bat. Now, trail names are essentially what I kind of refer to as like a camp name. It's a nickname for yourself, either given to you by someone else or you can create it yourself. There are no rules really when it comes to trail names. It's just what you go by when you're on trail. My next term is base weight. I mentioned this in my gear video. Your base weight is the weight of your gear in your backpack, excluding food, water, fuel, just consumables of any kind. So the base weight of what you're carrying on your back. Going along with base weight is the term ultralighter. An ultralighter is someone who's backpacking with a base weight of 10 pounds or less. That is certainly not me. Another term about your backpack is the word slack packing. Slack packing is when you leave your pack with someone who's not on trail, a trail angel perhaps, and I'll get to that term later, and you hike with just essentially a day pack. A lot of thru hikers do this, going from hostel to hostel, or if they have family in town, just so they can hike a little bit faster without the weight of their pack on them for that particular day. On the trail itself, the next word is blaze. A blaze is a marker used to mark a trail. Normally, these are painted on trees. They come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. On the Appalachian Trail, they use white rectangles as their trail blazes. These go both northbound and southbound, and it lets you know that you're on trail, whether you need to turn soon, whether you need to make a pivot. It shows you along the way. Also along the AT, you might come across blue blazes. These are also rectangular shaped, and this is to indicate a side trail, whether that be to a water source, to a shelter, to an alternative trail, weather permitting, a weather trail, to something off trail on the AT. Now, along with the physical blazes you can see on the AT, there's a lot of slang to go along with blaze colors. One of these slang terms is called aqua blazing. This is when you skip a section of trail in favor of going on a boat, a canoe, a kayak, some sort of water vehicle that allows you to get some distance without actually being on trail. Going along with that is yellow blazing. Yellow blazing is if you take a car to skip a section of trail. Yellow lines on the road, yellow blazing. Next is silk blazing. Now, silk blazing is something that happens to people who leave camp early. If you're the first person on trail, you're walking through a lot of spider webs. So that's called silk blazing, knocking down all the spider webs for the people that come behind you. The next color is pink. So if you are pink blazing, that just means you are speeding up or slowing down your pace to follow a love interest, hence pink. Can you hear all these birds around me? I sure hope not. Another trail marker is what's called a cairn. This is essentially a big stack of rocks in lieu of a blaze. If you're above tree line, cairns are pretty common as markers to show that you're still on the trail. Now, I've said this already, but the word shelter on the AT just means it's essentially a lean-to, normally 3 walls, stopping area for hikers. There are, I believe, over 200 shelters on the Appalachian Trail. Normally these areas have a 3-walled shelter area where you can sleep. You can set up your sleep system inside. Sometimes there's picnic tables, sometimes there's fire rings, most of the time there's a privy of some kind. It's just a stopping designated camping area along the AT. If you're not staying at a shelter on trail, you'll be doing what's called stealth camping. That's just camping in an undesignated camping spot. You have to be careful with stealth camping because a lot of state parks or wilderness areas have very specific rules against stealth camping to try to preserve the wildlife area. So make sure you know the rules of whatever trail you're hiking on when it comes to stealth camping. The next term I have is what's referred to as a 0 day. A 0 day is normally used through hikers to indicate a day where you hike no miles on trail. This could be due to visiting family, for resting. It's just a general rest day where you hike nothing. Going along with a 0 day is what's referred to as a Nero day. It's when you do close to nothing, oftentimes when you're hiking into or out of town. The next term a lot of hikers use is leave no trace. This is a principle of whatever you bring into the wilderness, you need to pack out of the wilderness, as if you had never been there in the first place. Leave no trace. The next term is a bear bag. This is not a bag with a bear on it, although some people do have very cute designs on their bear bags with bears on it. Mine, I designed at Hilltop Packs with my YouTube logo on it, but this is just in reference to a bag that you put all of your food and or scented products in that you would then hang at night, which leads me into the next term. Bear hang. This is when you hang up your bear bag using some kind of cord. There are several ways to do this. I like the PCT method. I find that easiest for me, but you hang up your food and scented items so critters, including bears, can't get to it while you're sleeping. Next is the term widow maker. This refers to dead limbs that can fall off of trees and essentially crush you in your tent. So you need to make sure when you're setting up camp for the night that you aren't near any sort of dead foliage that could possibly fall and hurt you while you're sleeping. Next is kind of a winter term. It's called postholing. This is when, if you're hiking in snow or slushy conditions, when you're trudging through like ankle to knee deep snow, hence the holes. So if someone had been in front of you, you'd be stepping where they stepped. So postholing. It really slows you down when you're hiking. Next term is what's called a switchback. This is when a trail either going up a hill or down a hill goes back and forth to kind of relieve the elevation gain. So you go slowly all the way up as opposed to straight up or straight down a mountain. Next term is trail magic. This refers to some sort of kindness left behind by what's called a trail angel. I'll buddy these up together. So most of the time, trail magic refers to some kind of consumable item, whether that be a cooler left with sodas or waters, or a whole setup with someone like cooking out of the back of their car. Sometimes full meals are had, sometimes it's just coffee or snacks, but this is just out of the kindness of their hearts, people leaving things for hikers to have when they're in remote locations. Now, I said trail angel. This refers to someone along the trail doing something kind for a hiker, whether that be providing trail magic, giving them a ride into or out of town, allowing them to stay at their homes. Whatever small act of kindness they give, that's referred to as trail magic, but the person themselves is referred to as a trail angel. Another term is what's referred to as hiker hunger. When you hike 10, 20, 30 miles a day out on trail, you're going to be extraordinarily hungry. Food equals fuel out on the trail. And when you hike lots and lots of miles, your body's going to be extremely hungry. So hiker hunger refers to the heightened need for food and calories when you're out on trail. The last term on this list is HYOH, referring to hike your own hike. I saved this for last because it is arguably one of the most important ones. This just essentially means you do you. If you want to hike 4 miles a day for an entire year to do a thru hike, do that. If you want to stay at a hostel every single night, do that. If you want to be ultralight and do 45 miles a day, do that. Hike your own hike. Don't let anybody else influence your journey along the trail. So those were some of the terms you're going to hear me say and other hikers you follow say along the Appalachian Trail this year. I hope this was a helpful glossary for you to learn a little bit about the vernacular that hikers are going to be using. If you want to follow along on my AT journey, be sure to follow along here on YouTube, and I also have an Instagram account with the same name @BadBatHikes. For now, happy trails.